How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and try this thing out. I've kind of done a mission, and I've been using this as well. It's called like the Behemoth Titan 813 by Zidon. The main things, it's got the Azov Dolphin engine, an advanced special gearbox, there is some raised suspension, tyres, there is 55-inch tyres available in a few things, but mainly I've got the 54-inch chained on, and then yeah, the winches. I mean, I've got this like a sort of a custom sideboard bed. This is the mission I ended up attempting. It was on Big Salmon Peak. I don't have the top Dolphin engines unlocked on my second playthrough, so I'm actually on my my first playthrough now, hence why I've got these maps and stuff. And yeah, as I fancied giving a mission a go, I kind of picked this one in the end. I've got to grab a trailer and take it to like 3 different pylons on the map. Not really do anything when you get there, it's just as soon as you like drive into the box, it just says stage complete and lets you go on to the next one. Now of course, as usual, no journey is complete until I've got a goddamn horse or a vehicle with me. Like a glove. There he is. OG Loaf. It's the loaf that started it all. So yeah, get him packed in and we're off. I did try, by the way, earlier on from this, but putting one on the roof, I wasn't able to pack one on the roof. Not the end of the world, obviously, but still, I had to try. Got to know these things. Yeah, I mean, overall first impressions, I like the look of it and everything. I think it certainly suits kind of the characteristic of the game in that sense. As for driving it wise, I mean, I've read through the description. The guy says, you know, don't expect fast driving or anything like that, which is cool. I'm not not everything I want to be like a mental lunatic. It's more having a nice bit of oomph to it. With this, like I say, it's got the Azov Dolphin engine in, but it's also got the advanced special or the special gearboxes. I mean, I think, yeah, it's pretty settled with them that the advanced special just seems to be a better version of the special, so that kind of rules that out. Yeah, I think if it was me personally, like basically, if you imagine with the Azovs, you've got the Dolphin, Bruce, and John. John and the Dolphin are kind of pretty similar. They're both 8-wheel drive and all the rest of it. They've both got the same engine. The big difference between them is Dolphin's got the choice of like the high range and the off-road, and John has got like the special advanced special. And then you've got Bruce, that's kind of a bit of a hybrid, but he's got the KZ engine, which seems to work better, I think, with the advanced special. Like I said, yeah, Bruce has got the special advanced special choice, and it motors along very nicely like that. This one's kind of picked a bit of both, or I suppose in that sense really, actually, it's more like John, where it's got the, I can't remember, it's like 18.6 whatever the code name is for the engine, but it's essentially the top engine for, yeah, like the Dolphin and John. And as you can see now, I mean, it's definitely got a slower pace to it and everything. I just think, for example, if you're going to go with the special and advanced special gearbox options, it'd possibly be better to have the KZ engine that's in stuff like the Bruce, or yeah, give it an option of say the high range and the off-road as well, that I think kind of matches the top Dolphin engine a bit better. Because I mean, the end result really, as it is now with the Dolphin and John engine and the advanced special gearbox, it's kind of like an alternative option to John, but John already does John very well, and the JVE version of John is obviously like an even more spiced up version of the same thing. So in that sense, it's like an alternative, yeah, to John, whereas if it had the KZ engine, it'd possibly be more in line with like an 8-wheel version of Bruce, which I think could be a more interesting area to cover than, yeah, essentially another option like that's pretty much similar to John. Yeah, driving along here though, I was towing this trailer, started running out of a bit of grip here, starts wheel spinning, even though I'm low range, diffs on and all the rest of it. But I will say though, this map, Big Salmon Peak and Flooded Foothills, they're both pretty trollish as far as the terrain goes. They all seem to be, yeah, pretty keen on just holding you back no matter what. I've also kind of noticed in the last couple of days, somebody else said the same actually with the cargo, was that it feels like once you've packed the cargo and everything, that's having more of an effect than it used to. Other than that though, I've also noticed like a few bits of terrain when I've been driving around, messing around the last few days, not necessarily stuff that's in videos, where the terrain itself seems to hold me back quite a bit as well. So I don't know if they've slightly tweaked some things maybe in preparation for this Phase 3 coming out. They seem to do a few like little stealth updates and things behind the scenes that you can kind of tell something's changed in the game, but yeah, they don't really give you any clue as to what or anything. So yeah, at the minute I went and grabbed the Dolphin just for kind of comparison sakes and to yeah, I've not drove Dolphin for a while because I've not got the top engines unlocked on my second playthrough. I've only got the stock engine for the Dolphin on that, so... And I know I've stuck 2 lives on, I mean again, I've got to bring a goddamn horse over there, with me. Double horses. But you can see the difference when I'm not bouncing off unbreakable trees. But yeah, the Dolphin is kind of gripping through this terrain a bit better, and that's just where I think... Like, I don't know how the coding works for the game. I know, like, various trucks got various engine power and all the rest of it, but there's also this situation with, like, rev caps and speed caps. And yeah, I have no idea how it all works in this game, like if the person or people who have built this truck, if they even have the option to fiddle around with rev caps and speed caps, or if it's already just kind of pre-coded into whichever engine or gearbox. Like I say, I don't know specifically where the limit's coming from, but to use the Dolphin and John as a comparison, because they're basically both 8-wheel drive and they've both got the same engine, yeah, the speed caps, or the rev caps particularly, seem more severe with John, who's got like the advanced special and the special options, versus the Dolphin. The Dolphin with the high range gearbox particularly, which is my personal favourite if I'm talking like on the Dolphin between the off-road and the high range, just because again, even between those two, the rev caps seem less severe on the high range, and it feels like it frees up the engine. And that's what I'm saying though, is I don't know how the coding in this game works. Like, an engine is given X amount of power in this game, that it feels in some ways like it's not just necessarily 0 to 100% power. It's like the more the revs build, pretty much like similar to real life in most cases, yeah, you find like the sweet spot and it kicks all the power in. So there's a possibility that this Dolphin engine, which is also in this Behemoth Titan thing, has been more designed with, yeah, the high range in mind, or at least suits it better, because then it's allowed to like open up its rev range and find that like nice power band, whereas yeah, the special and advanced special just seems to like cock block it a bit, and you don't ever reach like the higher rev ranges. I mean, again, yeah, with John revs at like idles at about 600, even when you floor on it, I'm sure it goes up to like 900 or 1200 or whatever. The Dolphin is, was it 2000 RPM or 2500? It's certainly higher anyway, and that's where possibly that KZGT gearbox, sorry, the KZGT engine might give more power at lower revs, which translates to like you actually, yeah, get more power down. Hence why, I mean, Bruce is a haul-in machine. As far as like, I mean, I was testing the yeah, the Derry 4520 yesterday, the Blue Line X version, and I'm still saying as well, after replying to people and all sorts, I think that Blue Line is an improvement on the Derry. There's no two ways about it. I think it's a good start. I just think that the Derry was so under-equipped to begin with that even the mods that have been done to it have not quite been enough to make it fully shine, but I'd rather drive that Blue Line around. I could live with driving that Blue Line around, whereas the actual normal Derry 4520, as much as I've tried 4 or 5 times, bought the thing, sold the thing, I want to like it, I like it, I wanted it to be a useful trucking game, but it doesn't really fulfill the need you'd expect. Like, I mean, again, yeah, that's supposed to be like a heavy tank hauling machine, and it can barely, well, it holds itself now with the Blue Line version, but it's still a bit struggling as far as like heavier cargo goes. But yeah, Bruce with the KZGT is an absolute haul-in machine. Like, that was one of the few trucks in my reviews and that managed to get up the third quarry hill with like no issues whatsoever, even when I was towing the 2 concrete slabs, which for most trucks was quite a good kind of limit. A lot of trucks didn't make it up the third quarry hill, and yeah, Bruce absolutely flew up there with no issues. So that's just for me personally, that's what I would I'd be curious to see, like either, yeah, the KZGT engine available or the high range and off-road, even on top of the special advanced special, just so you've got kind of all 4 gearboxes to choose from, really. But yeah, apart from that, like, I get that it's like an older Russian truck. Speed-wise, like I said, with this sort of truck, I wasn't really looking for crazy speed or anything anyway. That's why I think I'd be more curious anyway to see the KZ-GT engine in it rather than the high range and the off-road being options, because the Dolphin already covers that area very nicely, I think. I just left this bit in now because, as you can see, I'm tipping pretty good, but because I have got I am winched to this Titan and I am kind of pulling it at the minute, the tension on that winch and the fact that it's more over to the left is kind of stopping me tipping to the right. It's just enough that it's keeping me there. So yeah, not every anchor is a wanker. Sometimes they come in handy when you're towing something that's a little bit slower. And I mean, other than that, maybe, again, I don't even know if modders get the chance to fiddle around with tyre stats. I see like a workaround that some modders are doing and just adding options like the Tatran tyres, which already seem to be pre-programmed as like a very high grip rating, or again the what's it called, P16 wheels, or the Cat 770G. I believe they're pretty similar wheels anyway, but either way, I think they're set at about 3.5. The Tatran is something ridiculous like 13.5. Most tyres I think sit around the 1, 2, 2.5 sort of range. And yeah, got to about here. You can see we're motoring along pretty slowly, so I released the winch and immediately picked up a bit of a better pace. And yeah, you can see now we're getting a little bit of wheel spin on the go. And I was pretty much dropping the trailer off, going to stick it on the Dolphin and carry on. But I mean, I'm not really majorly loaded out. I know I've got a horsepower vehicle with me, but I don't think that's really that heavy in the scheme of things. I haul them around all day long with all kinds of stuff, so even the Zix and that can drive along pretty comfortably with one of them. And yeah, this service van trailer thing as well isn't really the heaviest, so yeah, it's not really like completely focused on being sort of a slow, heavy hauling torque machine, but at the same time it's, yeah, not quite got enough pace to it or anything to make up any other way, so it's sort of like covering a multitude of areas. It's kind of like a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, whereas if it's sort of focused more one way or the other, yeah, either go, like I said, the sort of slow powerhouse engine with a gearbox being a limiting factor, or, and I think in this game, particularly the way it plays out in this game, if you've got like the sort of gearboxes that limit the top speed anyway, to a degree I think it's less noticeable. Even if you dial up the power, it helps give it torque and everything in the low ranges, but because the gearboxes are the slower ones that kind of, yeah, are limiting the top end anyway, you don't really see the other end of it at the top end. So if you overpower something in this game, I mean, prime example, I was talking to that Fox CRF 450 rider, the guy who did the Twice Twin Steer, the Azov Iceberg, and the off-road trailer pack. Like, that Azov Iceberg feels OP at the top end, but at the lower end it doesn't. And like he was saying, to make the trucks feel quite responsive and like decent at lower end, it's just they inevitably end up feeling overpowered at the top end, because as I've said in this game, possibly the way this game allows speed to be built is it kind of turns down the terrain resistance numbers, and I think that's why once you go into high range and you start motoring along, the faster you go in, the more you just start skidding around like you're on black ice, no matter what you're on, which would explain then why, giving something enough power low down, once it gets to the high range, it goes mental, because there's just less terrain resistance holding it back. But overall, yeah, I agree with what he's done and why he's done it. I can always stay in the lower gears, and then you don't even feel the top end OP effects of that Azov Iceberg, but it's nice to tick along kind of, yeah, in the low ranges, even in the sort of the auto box. And I think that could be the same with a couple of tweaks, yeah, with this Behemoth Titan thing, is even if it, again, I don't know if it necessarily, I don't even know what the difference is in power between the Azov, like the Dolphin engine, and the Bruce engine, but I'm gonna guess, yeah, I'm gonna guess that the Bruce's engine is stronger, but there's also that sense that I think it might apply the power quicker at lower revs. Well, not quicker, but yeah, just at lower revs, like you don't need to wind the engine as high. And yeah, I got my foot down in the end with that mission. I'm going to cut ahead a little bit near enough to the end of the mission. But it was nice. I mean, that section where I just motored along, I was running pretty low on fuel, so as soon as I was able to get in high, I just kind of dropped the hammer, cut a large portion of the map out. That's where the Dolphin is nice in that sense. Like, it costs a lot of fuel because it's got that kind of gearbox, higher revving. That's why John is so much better on fuel than this. Although I've been through the whole fuel situation before, this drinks more fuel, but if it's going twice as fast, you can, in some situations, like if you run the Dolphin and John up and down the runway, they both use about 11 litres. The Dolphin does it in like half the time, which translates to it's like it's using fuel twice as quick, but it's getting the missions done twice as quick. So in the right situation, you can not be that much worse off. And overall, yeah, I mean, even I've said before, like the time you save with a faster truck, I can kind of divert my path, go and get some extra fuel. I mean, again, plan B, or plan A to Z, bring a pair of goddamn horses, and now I've got, yeah, 600 repair points, plenty of fuel, got me there. This mission pays out not too bad, was it? 6,100. Not that crazy, considering. Yeah, some of the early missions are right stingy beasts. So, yeah, driving this thing along, we're sort of back to messing around with this now. You can see now, I'm not sure, see where like the back end tried to overtake the front there? I'm not necessarily sure that that was a case of like drifting where the power's enough, because I was already pretty much wound up to the top of 5th out of 5th. I'm not sure if either there's a tiny bit more power going to the back than the front, or if, again, like I said, if they've messed around with the kind of degree to which the terrain resistance kicks in, and if the front end was just feeling more resistance then where the back wasn't quite there yet, so it sort of tried to overtake me. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, yeah, overall, I do think this is a pretty cool truck. I think it fits, like, the character of the game pretty well. But if there is any differentiation in this game between, say, horsepower and torque, it's, I don't know, yeah, I think it'd probably be a bit more torque I'd be looking for from this. Because even though it sits in 5th gear, it gets up to 5th gear pretty easily, and it does sit in 5th very well. That's one thing I have always liked with the Advanced Special. It's pretty, yeah, as long as you've got the power and everything, it's a pretty smooth gearbox. Even in Bruce, yeah, it works pretty well. But then every now and then, when you kind of get to harsher terrain in this, it's sort of, even though you don't drop down the gears, you probably lose, like, you lose quite a bit of your speed. And, yeah. And again, that's where I'm not sure, though, is that, like, rev caps, where the engine just hasn't, it's not given the freedom to rev up a bit higher to kind of make up for the extra resistance. You can see there, I'm still in 5th the whole time, but it's slowed down a lot, and it's still doing nicely. Like I said, I'm not knocking this thing, I think it's a pretty nice mod. But it's just overall, because the Azovs, between them all, they kind of have the whole Russian 8-wheeler, 10-wheeler kind of area covered very well. It's, yeah, a bit of a tough market to kind of try and break into anyway. Motoring along here, though, it's going, yeah, I mean, again, you can see it slows down, but it stays in 5th, and it does plough along through the water, so going pretty deep there. Don't know what she said. And I do like the sideboard as well. I like the fact that it's got higher sides to it. I mean, it's still not impossible. I could roll and they can fall out, but it's still, yeah. I just quite like the look of it in general, to be honest. And as far as all the tyres go, I mean, it's got my favourite sort of chained. If there is no other options, it's got the mud version of the chained, which is pretty nice. And yeah, 54 inch. You got 51 and 54 inch with the tyres. But there is a couple, like the Taiga Custom Muds, there's a version of them that go up to 55 inch, which, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. The Dolphin has 51 inch tyres, so, like I said, those 55 inch, there's only 1 or 2 sets you can get, so, say for the most part, 54, it's got 3 inch bigger tyres than the Dolphin. And in that sense, like I say, I mean, it's probably sits somewhere. I'd say it's got a bit more of a pace to it than John. And that's always been my main thing with John, as much as it's definitely a hell of a solid truck. And that's what I'm saying with this. I'm not knocking this mod at all. I think if you make something in this game and it ends up being around the same as the Azov John, then you're doing pretty well. And you can see there as well, slowed down a bit through the water. The water feels like extra resistant recently as well, because I cut through there. I don't think I've left it in the video, but I cut through there in the Azov Dolphin as well, and the water slowed me down a hell of a lot. And normally, the Dolphin just flies through there. But as you can see, I mean, it's got a relatively nice pace for it. That's more what I was hoping for with it anyway, was that it was kind of to the slower end, but yeah, like a Russian off-road slow torque machine. And like I said, in that sense, yeah, personally I would like a little bit more power. I came and rammed a car, because why wouldn't you? And I think we'll call it a draw. I did though, I left this in because I thought it was quite a nice chance to look at. I do quite like the big fat meaty like prop shaft, and obviously I know that's not the whole prop shaft itself, but just the general looks like a very nicely purpose built setup. Not some like the little flimsy things you see on some of these. And yeah, going for a little cruise now, again along Black River mainly. Because I test so many things on Black River, it's quite an easy one where I can kind of gauge where they sit pretty well. And you can see again, it doesn't just want to automatically fly through that, and that's where you do get other benefits though from the faster stuff, like the Dolphin versus John. Dolphin can maintain its momentum. Momentum helps in some ways in this game. I mean, yeah, prime example is a twin steer. That thing lives and dies on momentum and just being able to brute force its way through certain terrains because it just maintains its speed and insane power. Then it, yeah, gets around it that way. And what we're in high gear at the minute, and it's well, I mean, it's still ticking along. It's not what I was testing there was I know for a fact like the Derry 4520 does not like that hill at all, and I think pretty much every time I've ever tried it, it's stalled in high going up that hill. So the fact that this was actually able to sit in high up there is nice. And like I said, looks-wise, it definitely fits the character of the game. The only other thing I think I would change, in fact, is the front bumper was a little bit keen on digging into things, which is a similar problem. There's plenty of other trucks that got that problem. I mean, Bruce has got a massive chin for a start. There's also the Dolphin he's got a bit of a chin on him. In the right situation, it sits nice and high, so for the most part, it's not a problem, but it certainly can dig in. Yeah, you can see like that thing stuck on the front in the middle, which is like some, I'm not sure if it was like a pulley or something, but it feels like that was digging in. And you can see now, I was in first and I was tapping L1 every now and then to try and jump it up the gears, and it was not too happy about it. So once I was slowed down to fifth, it wasn't too eager to fight its way back up the gears. It was just happy to then keep jumping back to first until I got out of the mud, and then it happily wound back up to fifth. As for knocking trees over, not well, we got one over, but you'll see now. I came back. I rammed one of these earlier, and it didn't go too well. So I was like, we'll return. We'll be back. We'll give them another go. 1, 2, 3. You could tell on that last one, it really wasn't too happy about it. And yeah, 4. That's all she managed. And yeah, in that situation, speed can definitely be your friend knocking trees over, but so can plenty of torque. Like Bruce can mow them down with no issues. And other than the fact, I mean, it's not just for my love of killing trees as much as it is, but it's quite a good way of testing like the weight characteristics and how quickly it reapplies the power when you take a bit of a hit. You could see that. I mean, this was me driving around earlier just on the proving grounds. There's the 55-inch custom muds. You could see as I was trying to scoop through that little dip, but the nose of it was catching a little bit, but nothing too special. And yeah, overall ticking along. Even though, like I said, it's fairly slow pace, I'm cool with that with some vehicles, and it's working pretty nicely. I do quite like the fact that these muds sit nice and wide. However, a little bit of a disaster going on there, but you see. Not sure if I've mentioned this before, but this is why you bring yourself a goddamn professional. He knows what to do. Send them in mere seconds. But what I wanted to do, I didn't want to lose that piece of cargo. So I thought, I'll give it a little nudge. I mean, there's just so many horsepowers to choose from that, like I said, probably nuclear powered. Flipped it in no time. See, again, I think that was its chin catching a bit there, which is not the end of the world. I'm not saying like it's necessarily a bad thing. It's, I suppose, one of the characteristics. Plenty of other trucks that can have the same thing. If it was my truck in real life, I would try and put some kind of angled skid plate on the bottom, just so instead of, yeah, full on digging in like that, it kind of scoots its way along a bit. But other than that, and now, I mean, I kind of ended up just cutting out pretty much all of the proving ground section, because I was kind of not really doing much of anything, just kind of messing around. It really wasn't too keen about going over there though, as you can see. Had a pretty dodgy bounce, and it flew all over the place. But for the second time in mere minutes, sending the horse. I was lining myself up, so I can see my little loaf hole. Yeah. Gotta get them loaf holes. Do a bit of a wheel spinning, start digging, but you see, gets that bit of concrete. I mean, look at him, stretching his little rear foot out, doing like a little tiptoe. Get extra grip from that loaf hole, and he has just lifted a truck over a concrete block. Saved the day, scared the shit out of a rock. I mean, rubbed his cock on another rock, that's how that works. Now we own that one. Just a good day. Good day was had by all with the horse. I mean, look how happy he is. But yeah, that's about it for today. Just to let you know as well, I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow again, roughly the same time, so this is kind of a heads up. I'll try and put a scheduled warning thing out, but I don't really know how it all works, so bear with me. I'll get smoother over time, that's what she said. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. As for this mod, I mean, give it a go, see what you think. I think it's a pretty cool mod. Ballpark kind of reminds me of like, yeah, an old school version of John, kind of like you'd imagine really. John probably replaced this. But yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, thanks for my Patreon members, and I'll be back soon.